Alright, for John. And I'll have too many more days where I'm going to get to do this for a little bit. And given the fact that I've been drinking so little caffeine lately, this is already turning to less of a peak. But this next set, I'm kind of warmed up right now. It's not really going to be a monster set like the long cycle, where I just do one big continuous one, because I don't do stuff like that on press day. But I'm going to do what's essentially known as a drop set. I'm going to start heavy, and I'm going to alternate between movements that are harder to easier, because I'm in my apartment and the ceilings are super low. I'm literally touching the ceiling with my hand, and I'm not even getting on my toes to do it. No jerking, and it's raining outside, so no jerking. It's going to have to be strict pressing and push pressing. And I can control the upward trajectory much more. So yeah, I'm warmed up. I did a couple sets of push-ups, I did a couple sets of cleans, and I did a decent amount of Persian mill work to kind of warm up my shoulders. So now we're going to do this. We're going to start a little heavier, and yeah, let's have some fun with it. Let's see how many I can do. So start heavier and then drop the weight and progress to easier movements. Not sure which direction I should put the light, so fuck it. Eight. Of course, you saw the last ones were a little bit sticky. The point of the pressing workout, by the way, is a little less cardio focused, and I tend to make it a bit more strength. And you could hypothetically do this with any of your training in terms of how you want to periodize it. It's something I've been focusing on mostly because it's kind of a weak point for me, is the overhead strength, which it's kind of hard for everybody. But there's really a reason for me to emphasize legs, because I'm already so strong there. And you can definitely tell that tonight I already had to drop into the push pressing. So that was 3 stricts, and I wasn't going to get 4. So then I went to push pressing. Now, the cool thing about doing this workout is I'm not going to hang out with these heavy. I'm going to try to do one more set. It's just straight push pressing. And wait just a little longer, and we'll see if I can get 5 again. If I can, then I stick with it, but otherwise then I'm going to drop. That was 3 sets. That was 5. And one thing to kind of keep in mind, and I know that training like this is probably going to be a little weird. Maybe it's not ideal. I've just found the past month that this has actually worked really well for me. For this specific movement pattern. Because usually you want to start, like if you were kind of trying to focus on hypertrophy or something, but I'm trying to just get more time using a heavier weight. And 5 is kind of still like, I think, a relatively decent. It's not a good hypertrophy number, but it's like, if I could still do 5, like it's probably not too hard. Although it still feels really hard. I'm gonna stick with this again and try. And if I fail, then I'm just gonna jump right into the purples. I don't think I'm gonna go back to strict press. I think I'm just gonna stick push. All right, here we go. Yeah. Anybody's gonna watch the video, that last one was, that wasn't, I did have to grind that last one. Push pressing, from the way I understand it, it's kind of like, you're still gonna do the dip like in the jerk, but instead of kind of coming up on your toes, we kind of keep the feet planted. A bit more shoulders. So that last one was ugly. We're gonna drop. Come on, Mojo. That was set 5. It's another 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop again because those still feel really heavy. Those purple ones are not that much lighter than the green ones. They're only like 4 pounds less each. I only really dropped 8 pounds there. And the thing that's kind of backwards about the way I'm gonna train here, that I was getting at, is usually, you know, start with higher reps and then drop the lower. I'm doing it a little backwards and building the ladder. And like I said, it's mostly because I'm trying to get more time working with the heavier weight. Just to try to be less intimidated by it. And rep strength falls off pretty quick. But you're gonna see something really cool when I do the yellows here. Like I said, I'm probably going to do closer to 10. I'm also going to switch back to strict for a set here. Here we go. and I haven't done strict for like 3 sets. Dropping from those to those was a dip of 16 pounds versus the 8 pounds that the greens, those purples. Those purples are 48 pounds each, approximately. Technically 22 kilos. The greens are 24, yellows are 18s. I really should have a pair of 20s. I don't. And given the current circumstances, you know, I got more expensive things to pay for at the moment. Oh yeah, check it out. There's the fucker right there. I mean, it's part of me, so maybe I shouldn't curse it too bad, but leaving it in me, it's not the answer. And I gotta roll the dice, you know? I still think that they're loaded in my favor. Push. Yeah. I might say the cool thing about it's still kind of hard, but it was way easier than those heavier weights. And the cool thing is, I'll probably be able to do like 3 or 4 more of those, maybe more, until I hit the rule that I set for myself. Remember, if I can do at least 5, I'm going to keep doing these. I might choose not to be that crazy, because when the weight's that light, I can probably keep going. And actually, I've been training, this would be the 3rd session I've done this kind of thing. So I might have a little bit of accumulated fatigue, and then I'd actually be able to hit that. We'll see. I'm also not taking super huge rest breaks. I think I've probably been resting for just under a minute now, which is kind of what I'm trying to do. I don't want to take super short ones when I'm doing this, nor do I want to take super long ones. I don't try to be super doctrinaire about it, but just keeping in mind that I don't necessarily want to wait for my heart rate to go all the way down. I also don't want it to peak too much on this workout. I just want to feel like that I could do another one at about the same pace. Namely, like this pace. Ooh, that was a jerk. Oops. Push pressing. Yeah, go. And yeah, honestly, I've kind of lost count, but since I'm recording it, I can always watch this later, and I can be like, oh, I did this many, I did that many, I did this many sets. I've been recording stuff more lately because, like, I find when I train this way, the training journal is better if you're doing like classic bodybuilder training where you're trying to do like, you know, muscles, full muscular growth, like maximum hypertrophy. This isn't exactly what I'm trying to achieve here. I am trying to do something a bit more, slightly more cardio, but this isn't high intensity. at all, but it can be hard. I mean, it'll get harder the longer I keep doing this. Again, I mean, I'm starting to get a little sore in this shoulder. Left is the problem child. Makes sense. Right-handed. Starting to slow down a little bit. Looking at about 150 heart rate, which for me is moderate. Notice how I'm like able to talk. You can hear me breathing too a little more heavily, but this is not a threshold effort. Given the movement, if I was doing jerks, I probably could get closer to threshold because I could do it faster. Push pressing is a little bit more shoulders, so slower pace. Now, to be completely honest, though, I still might call it before I totally gas the 5, because my left delt is getting very sore. It's starting to get a little crampy, which is telling me that I'm reaching localized lactate threshold in this muscle. You know, if you wanted to drop this another way, you know, like, hey, this is failing, but like you could drop further and just do single bells on each side and focus on trying to gas out the one that's not hitting the wall. So like I said, this guy right here is going to stop me doing doubles, but I could do more with my right. But try not to go too insane. I don't want to overreach completely. And then I'm going to be putting chemo drugs in myself in a few days. And I want to give my body a little bit of chance Let's still do something that's kind of peaky. Yeah, so like I said, it's not HIIT. If this was actually a HIIT workout, I would watch one of my long cycle videos. That's a bit more close to what HIIT would look like. This is more like, I usually get this kind of heart rate when I do a bike. Like if I'm cycling at a moderate pace for me, which is probably somewhere in the 100 to 120 revolutions per minute, you know, spins on the wheel, the turn of the crank. Like when I compare it to my exercise bike, I'll usually get in around the 150-ish range once I'm really warmed up. It usually takes me about 20 minutes to get there. I'll get there faster with these because, well, it's more muscles, really. On the push press, I say it's more shoulders, but you're still playing around with the legs as I dip and launch. Dip and launch. Dip, up. So yeah, that's a crazy ass workout. I'm probably gonna do just one more, even though, like I said, I feel like I feel like I was kind of not getting super good mind muscle. I wasn't really locked into the form at first. When I went light, and that last set, actually, I was like, wow, shit, man, like, I wasn't using enough leg, because that set went really easy, since I was doing a little leg drive. You can always regress back down to jerks. Yeah, my left arm is getting really sore, and I don't want to drop this single stuff, so we're gonna do one more, and I would also do some push-ups or something. Like I said, I warmed up on those. I'm probably just gonna call it here. I'll probably do some body work. I'll probably do some front rack squats for a few sets, just to really light up the quads a little bit. And we'll call it. Yeah, that's it. Cramp. I mean, it's not really. I mean, what you gonna say? Not every day can be like Banana Town, crazy intensity. And if you want to train with high intensity, I will say this bodybuilding training with a focus on, I mean, yeah, let's be real, I'm not like, I wouldn't even consider myself an intermediate in that realm, but just kind of like focusing on just good form, technique, tempo. It can be a bit of a drag to train that way because it's not very interesting, I find. I mean, like, it depends on my mood. I can't train like that all the time. I do like training like that, but I prefer doing that for a couple of accessory movements. I don't like my entire training mesocycle kind of planned around like 6 grinds, which is kind of, and I'm using more kettlebell terminology here because more of the way that I got into weightlifting was hard style, and then I did a bunch of hypertrophy training to supplement my hard style ballistic movements, and then I got more into sport, and I realized I really like sport because it incorporates it, and if I incorporate some of those bodybuilding movements, you don't need a lot. They can supplement the strength in certain things, tricep work, do push-ups. The one bodybuilding movement that I tend to always do is skull crushers, just because my triceps are kind of not really a very strong muscle and they need the extra work. But yeah, this is kind of more like a power cardio, getting more used to the burn, you know, like, so it kind of does make it like cardio, but because it's a little bit harder, it's not like you're building massive endurance. Like, you wouldn't train for a marathon, to run a marathon like this, but doing this kind of training would be good if you were trying to get a really good mile time or something, because it will increase your lactic threshold. So yeah, let's do some front rack squats, a couple sets of that, and then we're gonna call it. That's a good workout, you know. Ultimately, I did about 5 different movements. I said Persian mills. I was doing some cleans to warm up. I was doing some halos. That was another movement. My stomach's a little fucked. Full disclosure, that movement pushes the heart rate further north. So that's more like the 160s. And yeah, so this isn't the hardest I've ever trained, really. Honestly, I was training harder before tax season started. And tax season was kind of like, well, you know, let's go easy. And then I found out that I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. And then I was like, well, shit. Oh my fucking God, what the fuck? And all that noise. And after the diagnosis, you know, I kind of decided to push it again a little harder. Rather than just focusing on the maintenance. But I mean, still, like, since tax season, I don't usually train more. I don't have more than 3 dedicated training sessions. I will still get some incidental exercise in between. walking, and some mornings on off days I might do like 10 to 20 minutes with just a couple sets of push-ups, maybe a little mill work or some mace work, and then call it there. My plan was when tax season was over to go to do the running or something on off days, but I'm gonna be on chemo. I don't know what I'm gonna be able to do. And I mean, the doc was basically like strenuous exercise is kind of probably not something I'd be able to do. So the great thing about this workout is, assuming that I don't have something that limits my mobility, you know, I'm looking at you, pick line or port access thing that might stick in my chest. And even then, I still might be able to overhead press with it. We'll see.
I wasn't avoiding therapy, but I just didn't think it was for me. The idea of therapy I grew up with was someone laying on a couch talking about their problems while someone else sits in a chair, smokes a pipe, and pretends to listen. But that idea completely changed for me when I decided to give BetterHelp a try. I signed up for BetterHelp because personally I've struggled with anxiety and intrusive thoughts, and I've never really felt like I've had anyone to talk to about it. And now, because BetterHelp is online therapy, I get to sit comfortably at home and video chat with my therapist so that I can clearly see they're paying attention and they actually care. I got matched with my first therapist in just a few days after signing up, but to be honest, I didn't think they were a great fit for me. So I decided to switch therapists till I found someone I liked, and it was super easy. BetterHelp has completely changed my perspective on therapy and allowed me to genuinely connect with someone I feel comfortable with. And honestly, I've grown because of it. So if you're ready to give therapy a try, get comfortable and check out BetterHelp today.
All right, last set. I'm not gonna wait as long to do this one.
I'm alive. So alive.